one of the things that I had to learn is how to get the best out of my teammates.
Yeah.
And most people think it's a simple thing, pass them the ball. But that's not how you make guys better. You have to really affect their behavior.
How do you do that?
So, I would tell guys, we got back-to-backs. I don't care if we're in Miami, I don't care if we're in the great city of Chicago. You can't go out, we got to get rest. Right?
Back-to-back games.
Back-to-back games,
Yeah.
right? Monday, Tuesday. You play Monday and play again Tuesday. Guys aren't gonna listen, right?
Right.
So a few times, say, all right, we'll all go out. We'll go out together.
Really?
I'll drink with you, right? But the next morning, I'm banging on your door at 5 in the morning. Let's go.
They're not getting
Where are we going? I hung out with you. Now you come hang out with me.
Wow.
This is what we do. All right, let's go. And we're at the gym. We're working out, right? We hit the bus. We go to practice. We play that night.
And they're dead.
And they're dead. And they're like, lesson learned.
Really?
Lesson
So
learned.
you take them out once.
Listen, if you're going to do that. But don't let that compromise what we're here to do.
Right.
This is why we're here. This is why you're here in the first place.
Yeah.
Right?
And if we're going to win a championship, we have to have that championship mentality
That's
and
it.
work ethic.
That's it. So you got to show them, no, Kobe can do that and still has the energy to get up and do this. So either I got to meet that same energy or I got to keep my butt in my
Go to
room.
bed early, yeah.
When you're in this culture in our society, you can do some phenomenal things individually, but they'll never reach their full potential unless you do them collectively. And you have to figure out how to do that. And Phil Jackson was great at that.
Mm-hmm.
Phil, he wouldn't just coach the team or coach the game, but he'd read everything about every single player.
Really?
Learn about your history, how you grew up, how you were raised, where were you raised. He'll read every interview, and he'll learn about you, and gives him a better understanding of what's motivating you, or what your insecurities are, right? And then it just helps him communicate with you better, or even push a button here if he needs to. The greatest challenge. I think it's,
you won an Oscar, you're launching podcasts and shows, and you got a book coming out.
Yeah, but it's different though. Like, we were just talking about it here in the office the other day. When you play the game, you hit a game-winning shot, you miss a shot, the reaction's there. You can see how people are responding to it, right? You can feel it.
The energy is
the energy is there. What I do now, you don't. Like, I don't see how people are affected by their basketball, or creating the Punies and you put it out there. Like, I wish I could see a car ride of a family the first time their daughter hears Lily's Lemonade and what she's doing, she's singing along to it. That's not there, right? So that's the challenge. That's the one thing that I miss, is being able to feed off of the energy. Yeah.
The instant feedback that you get from missing or scoring a shot, winning or losing a game. It's like either way you're getting a result, right?
Yes.
What do you think the biggest challenge is for most athletes after they retire?
I think it's the fear of starting anew, and that was certainly present for me as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Like
because
identity, you mean, or?
No, it's starting from scratch, right? Because when you play for 20 years, I played for 20 years, you reach a certain level, you're like, okay, wait a minute, I have to start again at the base of a mountain and try to climb the top of this mountain. First of all, what mountain am I climbing? I don't even know, like, what the hell am I going to be doing? And it's very scary. It's very scary.
Even for you?
Oh, absolutely. Wow. Absolutely. And the thing that helped me actually was hurting my Achilles, because that forced me to sit there and say, okay, the day could be today that your career is over.
At any time when you were playing, you mean, yeah.
Now what do? You have these ideas about doing something with your life after basketball, but what if today is the day that's it? Now what do you do? So I had all this time sitting there with my Achilles injury and contemplating and thinking, and I said, I better get to work.
Wow.
That was that.
What was the vision for you afterwards then? Was it to do what you're doing now, or did you have other ideas, or what's the vision for
I struggled with it at first, because the first question I asked, which is the wrong question, is what's the biggest industry I can get into?
Was it more money thinking?
Yes,
or
money thinking, saying, okay, athletes are saying you can't make more revenue when you retire, this is your source of your income is here. Saying, okay, that's a challenge, what can I do? And I remember going for—
Didn't you launch a fund or something?
I did. And so I went for a ride, and I said, okay, stop thinking of it that way. You're thinking of it the wrong way. Why'd you start playing basketball? Because I loved it. All right, what do you love to do? Oh, well, I love to tell stories. All right, let's do that. And then that's where it started for me. And And then on top of that, it became things like, you start learning more about the financial industry and about players going broke once they retire, and saying, okay, how can I minimize the chances of that happening? What are things that I can do to invest my money smartly? Also help control some of that outcome to a certain extent.
Right.
And that's when I called Mike Rapoli. Mike Rapoli was an entrepreneur who built Vitamin Water, and Pirates Booty, and some other companies, and started learning from him. And then from that came the opportunity to invest in body armor.
Yeah.
And which we're drinking now.
It's delicious.
But all that came from the injury, and really having to self-assess and face that really dark room of what comes next. He had a great quote that said, "Rest at the end, not in the middle." And that's something I always live by. I'm not going to rest. I'm going to keep on pushing now. There are a lot of answers that I don't have, even questions that I don't have. But I'm just going to keep going. I'm just going to keep going, and I'll figure these things out as you go, right? And you just continue to build that way. So I try to live by that all the time.
Rest at the end.
Rest at the end.
What does losing feel like to you?
It's exciting.
Why is it exciting?
Because it means you have different ways to get better. There's certain things that you can figure out that you can take advantage of, right? Certain weaknesses that were exposed that you need to shore up, right? So it was exciting. I mean, it sucks to lose.
Right.
But at the same time, there are answers there if you just look at them.
Because you get the information from losing more than from winning, probably.
Yeah. I mean, the answers are there when you win too. You just have to look at them.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a constant process. It's exciting when you win. It's exciting when you lose, because the process should be exactly the same, whether you win or you lose. As you go back and you look and you find things that you could have done better. You find things that you've done well that worked. You figure out how did they work, why did they work, and how can you make them work again.
Yeah.
And but the hardest thing is to face that stuff. That's a really, really tough challenge.
You mean face it? You mean look yourself in the mirror and say, okay, this is how I showed up, or this is what happened? And
I'll give you an example. So Katie Lou Samuelson is one of the best college basketball players in the country. She plays at UConn. She's going to be a senior.
Right now.
Right now.
Yeah.
And she's from Huntington Beach, out here by us. And so she comes down and she works with some of my girls on the team, and she helps coach. And, and they just had a really tough season last year where they lost to Notre Dame in the final.
That's right.
Really tough.
First loss in years, right?
Yeah. And so I asked her, I said, have you watched the Notre Dame game? She was like, no. I said, well, why not? I said, I don't want to watch that. I said, I know you don't, but you're going to play Notre Dame this year, yeah? Yeah. What's the chances you see him again in the final? He goes, well, you probably see him again. I said, well, you can't show up and play them without knowing why you lost that one, right? So, the mistakes that you've made in that game, you have to do the hard stuff and watch that game and study that game to not make those mistakes over and over again just because you weren't brave enough to face it. So she came down to the office. I brought her down to the office and we sat down, we watched that game together.
Wow.
Right? And you gotta deal with
Face it.
You gotta deal with it. Face it, learn from it.
Wow, it must have been cringing for her to just be like, oh, replaying like we could have won all these things.
That's exactly it, isn't
If I
it?
just did that one thing,
exactly
if I didn't get that foul, if I scored that layup.
That's exactly right. You're looking and say, oh, there's the mismatch. Oh, there's the gap. And all those little things, and it sucks. But you don't want to have that feeling again, do you? Right? So you got to really study it, face it. And not to say you'll win the next time you face it, but at least you'll give yourself a better chance.
Yeah.